Have you ever realized how quickly we trust the information on a screen just because it showed up? It looks official, it looks precise, it looks right. But let me ask you an important question. What happens if it isn't? That's coming up next on TiPS Today in Public Safety.
Welcome to TiPS Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Here's your host, Fletch, with today's tips.
Welcome to TiPS Today in Public Safety. This is Fletch. I'm a NENA certified ENP, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I bring you the latest and most informative and sometimes a bit controversial takes on emergency communications. Today we're going to talk about something that sits right at the center of next generation 911 and modern emergency communications: data trust. Because we're building the systems that depend on it, but we rarely stop to question it. The GPS analogy. Think about your GPS. You trust it until it tells you to turn into a lake. Then suddenly, you start questioning everything. Now imagine that same moment inside a PIECE app. You got location data, you got additional data, you've got system-generated information. It all looks correct until it isn't. The confidence trap. Here's the real problem. Bad data doesn't show up labeled bad data. It shows up looking just like good data. Clean, formatted, confident. And that confidence is dangerous. Mainly because people trust confident systems, even when they're wrong. Validation versus presentation. Look, there's a great big difference between data being presented and data being validated. A lot of systems are great at showing information, but they're not nearly as good at proving they're correct. And that is a gap. And that gap creates risk. Reality check. Look, here's your reality check. Inaccurate data is no different than no data. In fact, it's worse. Because the data exists, you get a false sense of security. The bottom line. Here's the bottom line. Trust in your system should never be automatic. It needs to be earned. And most of all, it needs to be continuously verified. Because if the data is wrong, chances are that everything built on top of it is going to be wrong too. And that wraps up this episode of TiPS Today in Public Safety. Remember to follow me on social media at Fletch911 and check out all our other episodes of TiPS at 911tips.com. My blogs are available online at fletch.tv, and my professional website is at fletch911.com. Thanks so much for listening. Remember to like and tell your friends, and if you're in public safety, thanks for what you do every single day. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
You've been listening to TiPS Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Hosted by Fletch and available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Catch past episodes on 911tips.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to join us each week for the latest on NG911. I am Spider Harrison, the official 911 voiceover dude. Catch me on Sirius XM on various channels, including 90s on 9, the 10 spot, and on the weekend countdown on Hits 1. Or don't regret it for the rest of your life. Either way, I'm good.